Welcome to Make Pods Great Again. I'm your host, John Woolley, here with my bestie under quarantine, Nikki. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm quarantined. How are you?
Yes, I've been quarantined all day today. I've had a bunch of snacks. I had a couple of workouts at home and played some guitar. I didn't get a nap in, so it was really kind of a disappointing day in that regard, but everything else was good. But
So highly productive, though.
very highly productive. But tonight's exciting. We have a games champion on. We have Dave Lipson and Camille Leblanc. How are you guys doing?
Good. I mean, we're quarantined too, but funny enough, we've been working on our business like 14, 15 hours a day. So we don't really understand right now how people are bored.
Yeah, Cammie's had me on lockdown for 10 years, so this is a new adjustment.
He's such a dick.
Well, see, those of us that have I've got a traditional 9-to-5 banking job, and of course banks are still open, but I'm non-essential, so I'm essentially working from home. And so this is it's almost like it's like a weird vacation, a vacation that you can't leave the house in. But for those of you that, kind of work your asses off day in and day out, I'm sure it doesn't feel a ton different other than you can't leave the house.
Yeah, I think like the big thing with me and Dave right now is a lot of our business are online. And right now, like pretty much Feroce Fitness, the idea that I had behind this was, first of all, I knew I wanted to get pregnant. I knew I wanted to find a sustainable way to train because everything I've done in my life was very extreme. And I wanted to find a way to have a sustainable way of eating and something a little bit better for my joint and health of my body. So that's kind of how Feroce started. And it's kind of perfect right now for everyone at home. And what we're trying to do right now is just start doing a bunch of projects so we can, for example, I'm building right now a 30 days nutrition and fitness challenge that we're trying to launch April 1st, just so people can have something to be accountable. All of it is at home, and we're just trying to help as much as we can. So we're really trying to just kill ourselves right now and literally just trying to not lose any money with the business, try to do things as cheap as possible for people just to help them. So we're pretty much volunteering like crazy, but hopefully, we're just trying to do our part right now to help with everything that's happening.
Yeah, I don't think it hasn't been much of adjustment. Like I said, like we really value our privacy, especially where we used to live out in Colorado. We had ourselves set up there. So there was, we had a home gym. We would stay at home as much as we could. And our only reason to really go down the mountain was to get access to the internet so we could program our workouts and coach our athletes, because we don't get any internet service out there, which is really why we ended up staying where we are here in Florida, just at a relative's house in a small town, because we could stay in the house and work on our programs. And, funny enough, like I feel like we're getting more leisure time and Dave and Cammy time than we ever had before, and being way more productive with our businesses, because we would end up spending 2-3 hours a day in the car going up and down that mountain.
Oh, good Lord.
Now we're just, we're living the retiree life. Our neighbors are old, and
I love it.
We're watering our plants, and, I'm liking it. I'm really feeling it. I'm going to get a golf cap and
yes.
Start going to the early bird special, going to bed at like 5:30. Be great.
So much Argyle.
It's ridiculous. Cammy said, like, hey, Dave, get up super duper early and be the first person in the supermarket, because we don't want to get Cammy any exposure to this, especially with her being pregnant with a compromised immune system. And so I get up like at like 7 a.m. this morning. I try to get to the grocery store, and it is a madhouse. And on the front door, it says senior shopping hours, 7 to 8 a.m.
That's right.
I should have known, like, old people, I should go late at night.
Right.
Yes.
You have like the sweetest old neighbors ever that you absolutely cannot hang out with right now.
Oh yeah, one of our neighbors tried to come give us his card with his number for help, if we need help, and he's trying to give it to me, and I just keep stepping back, and I'm like, dude, 6 feet.
Do not get near me right now, bro.
Oh my God.
He doesn't get it. He's like, I'm being careful. I'm like, no, I don't mean to be rude, and I'm Canadian, so I'm super polite, so that was really hard for me to tell him to back up. But
it's one of those things where they say, oh, they understand, but they clearly do not understand.
Dude, everyone that I'm talking to right now is like parenting their boomer parents. Like,
Yes.
I gotta like yell at your ass to stay the fuck inside right now. Like, I don't understand. It's not hard. Like, there was a point in time where they yelled at us to stay inside, and now we have to deal with them not understanding that they can't go like hang out with so and so to drink wine and watch their stories at night. Like, stay the fuck home. Everybody stay home.
Don't get me started on this, Nikki. My dad's 75. He CrossFits, and he's still CrossFitting. And I'm like, you got to stop. Like, you can't keep going to the gym. You have to stop. He's like, no, I lived through Vietnam. I lived through Korea. Like, he starts listing all the wars he lived through. I'm like, okay, just do what you're going to do.
This new one, and this one you can't see it. So
yeah, seriously.
We're not neck deep in Charlie here. This is a different animal.
Yes.
Different. So different. All right, so there's kind of a lot to cover, and I want to get a little bit deeper into what you guys are doing, both on your own and your businesses, and especially how that's affecting the CrossFit community as a whole right now. Because I know you guys are offering a lot of work and a lot of help, especially to affiliates who are facing some difficult times. But before we talk about that, I'm just curious to know, how are you dealing with like your pregnancy amidst all of this, scariness in the health world, and sort of like inability to go into hospitals and things like that?
Yeah, when it's just me, it's not that bad because I feel like I develop a lot of tools and, mental toughness and mindset and, just dealing with high pressure, high stress situation. I think that's been my daily routine for the past years.
Totally.
So I'm pretty good. The problem right now is everyone is calling us to tell me how they feel about it. So, the family members which are helping us are wonderful, but everyone has to say something about it. And it's like, look, just understand it's in my belly and it's my body, and I'm the one that can die right now and lose a child. So can we just, know that I'm already a nerd, so I'm doing all the research I have to do. I'm doing all the precaution. My life right now is only about the safety of me and my baby. Like, nothing else exists right now for me. I really don't care much about anything else. And then, after that, I help others. But that's the part that's been hard, because I think everyone has so much stress going on and project a lot, and then they just have this one thing that they can project on me and kind of be like, oh, I can explode on this. And it's like, please don't.
From what I understand, and I'm not a mom, but I have heard this secondhand, that doesn't really change. Like, do people tell you how to mom for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think as soon as I said I was pregnant, like, people just started to like tell me what I should do and this and that. And I'm like, well, are you a doctor? Like, is that what you do for a living? Like, I know this was your experience and I appreciate some of the feedback, but at a point you're like, okay.
Yeah, the mommy shaming is real. Like, that is now, like, my body is disproportionate in every way according to all the trolls out there. And oh my God,
I'm doing a bad job for anything I do. And it's like, you're a guy, like you never gave birth, so why do you have any opinion on this?
Yeah, well, good for you for smiling through it.
Like humans have been having children for like thousands of years.
Yes.
And I know that there's definitely a safer way to do it in terms of screening and protecting the mother and screening for the baby and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, it's nature, right? Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Yeah. We do our best to use it, but I think all those extra things are just niceties of the comforts of our modern living, and they're great, but they're not. I don't know that they're necessities, and I don't know if it's worth getting completely bent out of shape over. I think the priority right now is just keeping Camille well and not giving her unnecessary exposure to this virus, and doing our best to, we went to try to get some blood work from her at one of these health clinics, like a Centura Health Clinic, and as we're walking in to get this elective screening thing to look at the chromosomes of the baby developing, we see people walking in with face masks, and this nurse comes out in a hazmat suit with a face mask on. Like, it was like freaking Doc Brown popping out of the DeLorean in his nuclear. And she looks at us and she's like, are you sick? And Camille goes, no. And she goes, oh, well, you should leave. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We should not be here right now.
Right. Good call.
it's just having the right perspective on things. And we're going to find somebody down here, you know, we'll figure it out. Even if it's remotely, even if we have to send blood work in, like we'll figure it out. But I think right now, everyone's number one priority should be, you know, protecting themselves and protecting the people around them and the other people in their community as well.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of that specifically in the CrossFit community, mainly in the fact that gyms have been closing left and right. A lot of them, you know, state mandated, government mandated, a lot of them just elective to keep people at home, to keep the spread as low as possible. And that is causing a lot of stress for gym owners who might not necessarily have a way to continue their business, or for members who are, you know, getting furloughed or fired and who can't continue to pay their membership. So you guys have a couple home businesses that you've started relatively recently that you're also now expanding and using to help a lot of these gym owners in the community. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, like I did this book, gosh, over a year ago, maybe.
Yep.
And I just did this book because I was thinking about like my mom and my dad and anyone that, you know, are too afraid to go at a gym, like, because it's scary to go in a gym for the first time, you know.
Oh yeah.
So for everyone who didn't had maybe the vulnerability to do that, I did this book called Jumpstart to Health, which is a completely at-home 30-day workout. We're using like backpack and soup of can as like weight and things like that. So everything that people are doing right now, I feel like I've been programming that for over a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago it was probably like, oh, what do you mean? Put a backpack on. Now there's like,
what is she doing? This is so silly.
Yeah.
Now everyone's like, how many like 30 racks of beer can you clean and jerk, man?
Oh, yeah. People would like laugh at it and be like, that's not what you do. You're a CrossFit game athlete. I'm like, yeah, but I want like people to be healthy. Like, and this is like the best way to start. So I'm giving that book for free right now with just the code Be Healthy, because I just want people to have something. And now I'm creating this 30-day nutrition fitness challenge that we're going to launch April 1st. We have this guy helping us with his app. So it's going to be on this app. We're going to have leaderboard to keep you like super accountable and on it. And we're selling it for something ridiculous. I think we're going to sell it for like $15, and you get like 30 days of working out. They all have to follow a macro prescription. I mean, I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot because it's going to be so much work for me. I mean, but I don't care. Like, we just want to give, and we're reaching out to gym right now to try to do something with them, with like trying to share profit with them so they can give that to their clients, and maybe they can, you know, have a little something coming from it. And yeah, it's so we're working a lot, but I feel like, you know, a lot of people get in those situations and becomes really focused on like I am struggling and I am this, and then they try to take from everyone else. But I think like this is really a moment that we need to be a team and think about, yes, we're all in a bad situation. Like, yes, I have a baby on its way right now and it's rough for me, and our business, you know, who knows if it's going to survive. And other people have people around them that died. Other people are not employed anymore. Like, everyone has something. So I think it's really a moment that I think if we can all do a little something to help others, this is going to really help us get through this in a much more positive way and like a lot faster.
Yeah.
And we're so like ahead of the game. We've been in the online training game since 2014. You know, so we have 6 years experience kind of figuring out like how to deliver this to the athletes in the right way, how to create a service that really has great value in terms of, you know, visibility and contact with a coach and instruction and all that stuff. And the reason why we got into that is because, you know, there were coaches that I wanted to work with that weren't next to me, that I'm like, I want to get coached by that guy. And you know, originally we started doing this with coaches where they're like sending us Google Sheets, and then, you know,
it's OG.
and then, you know, there are athletes that wanted to work for us, and we've been through 3 or 4 different training platforms. And I think, you know, there's so many things in there. Like Cam's got a funny story about how she started developing Feroce. Like, she didn't tell you this, but like, after her shoulder surgery, she was, you know, of course she's devastated. She wants to be a games athlete and her arm's in a sling. And, you know, I'm like, I'll take you to train. But I took her to like 24-hour fitness because they had machines and she could squat or do much body weight
Crying
stuff.
on the leg press.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just on the leg press. She's crying on the leg press. It's a great video with her hysterically
Oh,
crying.
I have the video.
But by the way, still completing the reps totally fine.
Of course.
Very melodramatic.
It was emotional.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the weight.
Wait, the video is amazing because they was like, do 50, and I'm like crying because it's like all the emotion, and it was really hard. And I think I was at like 46, and he goes like, one more. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we said 50 and I'm so near. So I'm crying and I just yelled, no, 3 more. And we posted that video and people on the internet, they're like, oh my God, she's so badass.
She's so dramatic.
So funny.
I consider myself like a very empathetic person, but in the training environment, I think I kind of land on the spectrum somewhere. Because I'm like, why are you crying? You're fine. You can keep going. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I'm a girl and I have emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in 24-hour fitness, and we were going there for a while, and I did the same thing after my back surgery. It's like, it's a great place for rehab, and it led us down a completely different road towards the creation of Thundrbro. But she was looking around, and she saw these people that were like, one, like obese, out of shape, out of weight. Two, you could just tell their aura, their essence was like they were not comfortable. They were looking at people, be like, who's looking at me? They were looking at what should I be doing? And then we're watching this obese person trying to do like a shoulder raise terribly. And we're like, why are you even doing shoulder raises right now? Like,
Not what you should be focusing on.
eating carbs and go do some cardio.
Right, exactly.
And so I think Camille recognized that, like, there's probably a very large population out there, people we know and don't know, that, like my dad, my parents, for instance, that are like, they're too afraid to go into like a CrossFit gym because they're maybe not the same age, maybe they're on the same body, maybe they just feel so completely out of place and they've never trained before, they feel stupid and unathletic. And we're like, there has to be a safe incubation ground for this, to build some basic skills of like, here's how you move, here's how you eat, like training wheels. And just like, what about people that just can't even go to the gym? Like you're a mom and you're working a job and you're dealing with the kids and you just don't have the time for self-care like that, and the investment of going out there. So she wrote this really great manual, which is like super fantastic for really, utility now. And how funny is this, guys? Like, do you remember when CrossFit was putting out like the blue jug videos?
Dude,
Yes.
We've been saying this for like 3 weeks now. Like, we all bitched about the antifreeze, and now
We get some fucking weights. Why are we in some 70s sitcom set,
Oh my God, it's so good. I love it so much because everyone laughed at it so much, including me.
Well,
It's pretty, because it just went for such an extreme to like CrossFit game athlete all the time to then like, my business, they've used this parent as an example, but for me, it's more like, I know that we're going to build a family. I'm still going to own a business. And I know that like making an appointment to train, driving to the gym, driving back, I don't know how much of an option that's going to be into my life.
Right.
So that's kind of how it, seeing those people need help and then thinking about what I wanted to have in my future. That's really how like Feroce was born. And also my body is so beat up for 10 years of, pushing myself to the limit. My left shoulder most likely needs a surgery right now. I get knee tendonitis, like so much going on. And I just don't want to beat up my body anymore. Like I want to do like simple movement that, are definitely functional, but also I kind of just want to look good and feel good.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's really how it was born, taking the best of every world. So we do like bodybuilding. I do tons of rehab work. And then obviously high intensity because it burns fat well and it makes you fit. So
yeah.
But like going back to those videos, like everyone was laughing, and I guarantee you, Greg Glassman's like, "Who's laughing now?"
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Loving it.
He's like loving
as
it.
he should.
And oh, totally. Have you seen those memes? That's like the Scooby-Doo guy, and it's like he's like pulling the mask off of like the villain who's actually behind the thing. And like the best one I've seen so far is that there's two. The one is like the Greg Glassman is under the villain, and then the other one is like just the Zoom logo when he pulls it off.
Oh my God, right? Killing it, right? I was thinking about that yesterday.
Oh, this is a good time to be in the telecom industry.
Oh, right.
And I think maybe, Greg, like for all the things people might say about him, he's this, eccentric, smart, controversial guy in some ways. I think the battle he started fighting a few years ago was trying to make the distinction between health and what Cammie's describing to you as the notoriety athletes at the CrossFit Games are getting. Because at the highest level of any sport, I don't care what sport it is, it's not a healthy endeavor. It's just
no. Professional sports are an extreme in and of
really
themselves.
Struggle with, because people, they'll come to me and they'll be like, CrossFit's healthy, this and that, and I'm like, it depends what gym you go to and how you do it.
Yeah.
Because I think like people have such this idea in their head that everyone should be a high level competitor, that I think in a way when you always write like time on the board and score, there's such a bad backlash of people now really start rounding their back in the deadlift so they get this one more rep. And there's it has to be a distinction in gym where like quality over quantity is the key. Like it has to be mechanically sound before we can add the intensity. But that would also mean like the coach needing to have conversation with people and slowing them down and bringing some conflict and arguments. And who the hell wants to do that?
Oh, girl, I've done it. Oh, I've had people walk right out of my classes because I'll strip the bar for them. I hate it, but it happens. Ain't nobody getting hurt on my watch.
Yeah, there's been an active play at reclaiming the identity of CrossFit. I saw it maybe starting a year ago. I mean, even with some of the changes you saw at the games, I think the idea of competition and stuff and that realm is great. But I think the true value of this is what we're seeing right now is like the hedge against sickness. I could just tell, like, the supplements, the sponsors and all this stuff, like, that's not really what I think is, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Greg, but I know that there, the difference you can make in somebody's life from taking them from unhealthy to well to fit has such a larger, more dramatic impact and such a more indelible impact than taking someone who's already pretty fit and making them super fit,
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and going back to the affiliates right now, like we were talking how we have most of our friends own gyms, and if you're out there and you're listening and you're a member of an affiliate, I know it maybe finances are tight, maybe things are hard, but I encourage you to stick with your gym and stick with your community as long as you possibly can. Because that's really something special in the world of fitness. And I think in a lot of people's lives, it's something special in their life. So, let's try to support each other as best we can. I know that gym owners are fighting and clawing tooth and nail to retain every member they can. And we're trying to help them in a number of different ways. We're hosting, Zoom classes for them as special guest coaches, just to like bring their members something special. Be like, Cammie's going to be a guest coach. And
so reach out to us if you want us to do that with you guys.
Oh, guys, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, give you a sample of her Feroce program. Our Thundrbro stuff. This stuff is designed to be done at home or in a CrossFit gym. So even with limited equipment, like this was our jam before this happened.
Yeah.
So we're trying to give people access to that. We're offering things like allowing members to include free membership into some of our home online programs using our platforms and our services and stuff as part of their membership to continue their membership, just to stay in there, to stay in the fight. And I just did I don't know if you guys know that Cameo little app, but I just did a Cameo for a gym in Connecticut. And it was the coach reaching out, being like, hey, can you just thank my members for sticking with me these past 2 weeks? And as gym owners, I think this is a good opportunity to not just to survive, but maybe to use it as a way to build your business in a different way. The physical brick and mortar gym space is a great model, but in diversity, there's strength. And that's where you're seeing a lot of these guys that were kind of in this gym development business were already pushing, like, you need to have stuff for your clients online, the nutrition programs online, training programs online. It's an additional stream of revenue. It really is why we stepped away from the physical gym and said, why don't we do this online? Because now our gym is limitless.
Yeah.
And we can go from, a couple hundred athletes to a couple thousand athletes without increasing our operating costs much. And for the gym owners that are out there, I know it's stressful, but think about the fact that, we were saying the average CrossFit gym membership might be anywhere from $100 to $200 a month, roughly speaking. Even if your members are able to sustain half of that, the average cost of really good, robust online training is probably at that $50 to $100 price point. So, even if your members now go from paying $200 to $100 and they're getting online services and private Facebook groups and some nutrition coaching and video classes and inputting their scores, and that's your community there, your operating costs are going down because, number one, I think a lot of these gyms are not paying rent. Hopefully their landlords recognize that this is, a pretty unique situation, that they just can't afford it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Their staff, obviously I think the staff you don't have to have a full staff teaching every class now. So although your income might reduce by half, your operating costs also might reduce by half too. And when you come back, now you could potentially have a whole new branch of your business that you could build out to make this a gain in the end.
Yeah.
I just love that, like, logistically, you guys have some really, really great ideas on how to, help the community overall. Obviously, you've been in the game for a while, so you've set it up well for yourself. But more than anything, I mean, you seem to be really delivering a message of like hope and optimism. And I think we need that right now. There's just so much. John and I were talking about this earlier. There's so much
at the house right now. It's anything we put out there has to be positive.
Well, the doom and gloom is real. Like, it's a scary world. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be hypervigilant and sensitive to the fact that it's scary out there. I get it. But like, man, this is a lot to take in. So I do love that you guys have this overall positive vibe about everything that's going on.
Well, I think overall, like, people are going to start prioritizing health and fitness and wellness now more than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
Like the supplement shop is sold out of echinacea right now. People are like, really,
and ginger supplement and
so much turmeric everywhere.
This is Mother Nature saying, like, we cannot continue the way we've been going.
Yeah,
like, this is a natural check on our population because shit's out of control. Maybe humans aren't meant to live like this. Maybe we're not meant to be crammed up staring at screens all day, eating crap and doing this stuff
and wrecking the earth.
Maybe we shouldn't be super stressed out about constantly buying and consuming and earning, right? So this is a great time, like, to explore those things, and really, like, it's a pause for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody's paused, and you can pause and reel in your own emotions and bitch and moan, or you can take it as an opportunity to adjust and adapt, because adapting is survival. That's really what it is. So I think there's a lot of potentially good things that can come out of this, moving forward in the future.
I think we're already seeing a lot of the really good stuff. I mean, like, I've seen the internet's going crazy with people, like these Zoom workouts are getting me really excited, as an example. Like, that's so much fun for me to see, gym members, across the country. And I'm getting messages from people in Italy and Germany and, God knows where, and they're putting their dogs on their backs to do back squats because they don't have any equipment, but they want to get their fitness in, and I think what you guys are describing here, what you're wanting to deliver, really solves that for a lot of people. I'm getting kind of excited listening to you guys talk, because like, I give you a personal testimony. Like, my mom got some bad health news last year and was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which is how my dad got into CrossFit. And she came to me and said, I'm going to be in these meds for the rest of my life. I'm like, the hell you are. We're going to get you off the meds and get you fit. But she said to me, I won't join a gym. I'm too scared to work out in front of other people. And I think that's what you guys are delivering on, is helping people like her that can, get them into that better place of fitness. So when we come up against an event like this, all of a sudden it's not as scary,
I think, like, sadly, there's so much like clickiness in a lot of way of training. Like, I mean, as an example, like, if I dare, girl from CrossFit dare to do powerlifting, then it's like, oh my God, what is she doing? Like, or like, my husband went from doing CrossFit, and now he's doing bodybuilding show. And it's like both community kind of at first hated him a little for doing that, because people really want you to belong in a like specific category. And then if you're not in that category, you're somehow like being judged from it. And what me and Dave really try to do is that there's good from every single category, and it has to be all inclusive.
Hell yeah.
Like, fitness is for everyone, and no, there's not one way that is better than the other one. And if you're too stubborn to stay in your little circle of what you think makes you special as a trainer, you're really limiting yourself and potential, and you're limiting the service you're giving to your athlete. And that's something me and Dave talk about all the time. Like when I was doing CrossFit, I'm pretty sure I was one of the first athletes to just go to specialized coach in every other round. I got like Chris Hinshaw, who specialized in endurance. I got Sean Lynn, who specialized in gymnastic. I didn't go to a CrossFit coach to learn my gymnastic. I went to a gymnastic coach because he's the best at that. And then for me, it made me just keep learning more and keep expanding like my knowledge and really open my mind to new way of training. Like I love doing yoga, I meditate, I do all that stuff, and I still like lift a barbell and, you know, yell when I do powerlifting. Like you don't have to be one thing, and it has to be all inclusive for people. Like it's not because you have tattoo that you can only do like, you know, the extreme stuff. Like you can do like the yoga, and it's not because, you know, you're a mom that you can go lift a barbell and be a complete badass. Right. And I just think bringing this like positive energy and attitude of being all inclusive for everyone, doesn't matter what you look like, your age, like your background, we're here to just be fitter and healthier and be a better person.
Yeah.
And I just hope people could be a little bit more like that.
I love that, because I hate like that shit that I friggin' hate the clickiness and the exclusivity. Like that's probably my biggest pet peeve in life, in the gym and outside of the gym.
Yeah, it's like everywhere.
Oh, it's the worst. It like my skin is crawling. Well, and realistically, like now would be a great time to try something new and not feel restricted. And like shit, for years I was like a Les Mills like fitness, like dance fitness instructor. And guess what? That shit is fucking hard. Okay, it is what you make of it, and it can be really hard.
And I have some bras that says Les Mills.
Yeah, of course. Like I did Zumba, taught Zumba forever, and while I was CrossFitting,
hours. Good luck.
Yeah, it's fucking hard, man. It's as hard as you want to make it, like anything else.
Well, that's why I love the fact you guys are together, because Nikki and I were talking about Thundrbro before you guys came on, and she's like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "It's like science." It's totally like science. It is like.
Well, I'm like, what is it? Because it's like, it's so fun and it's so bro-y, but it's also so not, but it's also so real. Like it is rooted in so much realness that.
Before we get into all that, let me just something more general, which you guys are kind of getting at, which is like, I think it all starts with no matter what realm you're in, like the people with a growth mindset that want to know, like, how do I get better? I'm open to new ideas.
Yeah.
They don't set up those fences. You know, they're not playing a zero-sum game where, less for you is more for me, or I'm going to raise my value by diminishing your value, but they're actively seeking feedback and actively trying to learn, because they understand that in the end, if they evolve and take the best of all these things, then they're actually stronger. And unfortunately, we're limited by the people around us and the ideas around us, which means you have to get outside of those ideas and outside of those people, which is where Thundrbro came from. You know, like that's honestly where it came from. I know sometimes like we're protective of our methods and our ideas. And that's why, like Camille was saying, like if you're the Olympic lifting community is like, well, just Olympic lifting and CrossFit's just going to do this, and CrossFit, vice versa, and or whatever it is, right? So, Thundrbro came from a very common story. You know, a guy like me who really liked CrossFit, who was trying to compete for a while and just kept beating himself up and ending up on a surgery table and feeling beat up and, just down on himself because he wasn't at the leaderboard where he wanted to be. And after surgery, I just ended up wondering, like, why am I doing this? Like, why? I don't even really want this. Why do I feel so much pressure to try to compete in this? Like, when I started training, it's because I wanted to look good and have imposing physicality. And I remember, like, when I was 15, like the first thing I did was go to the dumbbell rack and start doing curls because I wanted to get chicks, right? And hey.
Excuse me.
Is that how it works? That's how it works?
Exactly. And the idea of the physical virtuoso, like, well, it's neither one or the other, right? Like, like bodybuilders at the upper echelon are a lot of them are display models only, and CrossFitters are amazing at what they do with their bodies, but a lot of their physicalities are just non-remarkable comparable to the bodybuilding community. So like, I think I just really believe that like there's a middle ground there, and it brought me back to like old school training where like the best looking, most muscular guys were the strongest and the fittest and the most athletic. Let's pursue that and figure out a way to do it where it's not about how fast you could lift the weight or how heavy the bar was only, but it was about maybe a little bit more about what kind of training effect are you getting this, what kind of biological adaptations you can get at this. And really it was bridging the gap between performance and aesthetics. And so like Camille said, I immersed myself in bodybuilding culture. I felt like I knew the CrossFit functional fitness space really, really well. I understood the scope of fitness, but I wanted to know, how do you grow muscle? How do you lean down? What does the diet look like? What does the training look like? And where's the middle ground where potentially those things overlap with CrossFit for the athlete who wants to, you know, have those aesthetics, but also have that athletic ability too. And
did it feel like talking to your cousin? Because it's like similar, but not like, it's not your brother, but like you're sort of related.
It felt uncharted, and it felt uncharted because I was getting pushback from everywhere. Like when I started going, I'm lucky to live in a place where we have a gym called Armbrust Pro Gym, which is where the 7-time Mr. Olympia Phil Heath trains, and they've got like 40 years of professional bodybuilding experience. And I went there and I said, hey, I'm a CrossFitter and I want to learn about bodybuilding. I'm like, okay, we'll see. And I found a great coach who's now my best friend in the world. Who's taught me so much, you know.
Awesome.
His name's Alan Watkins. He's got 65 IFBB pros, and he was interested to learn about CrossFit, and I was interested to learn about bodybuilding. And he helped coach me through my first, second, third, fourth show. And you know, I was learning methods. I was learning methods about different ways to drive muscle growth, different ways to trick the body, how to adapt for the aesthetics, and then just adapting it to what CrossFitters have, functional movements with limited equipment of a barbell and a set of dumbbells. And we created a variety of programs that all kind of target that in a number of different ways, everything from like doing your CrossFit program to adding in some hypertrophy to doing a full in-depth complex bodybuilding hypertrophy program with a little CrossFit attached to it. You know, we just package it in so many different ways based on your logistics, based on your goals, based on how fast you want to get those goals. And from there, like a lot of other channels and branches built out, like our nutrition coaching platform and some of our challenges. We have like a Thundrbro Thunder Cuts challenge, where this was amazing to me. Like our Thunder Cuts challenge is a 9-week challenge that has a comprehensive nutrition plan with a training program on top of it. And we have a private Facebook group where people essentially do check-in photos every week, and we coach them on, you know, how many more macros they should bump up or bring down, or how should they tweak percentages, and just kind of give them a little personal touch. And in those 9 weeks, we had people losing 30 pounds in 9 weeks. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe how well these people are adjusting to it, because I'm of the mindset, well, if you tell me to do it, I'll do it. But that's not always the case with people, right? You know, so now we're rolling out these regular challenges, like our 30-day shred program, and it's fun because it's limited equipment, it's very familiar movements, but we use these very advanced bodybuilding methods to get athletes anabolic and to maybe fill the gaps that CrossFit is potentially missing in terms of just chasing physical performance. And our tagline is Thundrbro. It's where bro science meets real science. So we learn the method, we understand the science behind it, and we teach people about these methods, and then we try to apply it to general overall fitness. And, you know, it's fun to me to see a lot of CrossFitters that are in our programs now getting ready to do their first bodybuilding show. It's really, you can see that gap starting to bridge, and vice versa. Like, we have a lot of people from that bodybuilding realm that are now like getting exposed to these functional movements and starting to do things that are a little bit CrossFit-esque, because no matter where they tell you it or not, they're intrigued by CrossFit. You know, we have IFBB pro friends that are like, I want to know about CrossFit, but don't tell anybody. You know, I think
they all come train with me. We do like Sunday girl stuff at the Armbrust, which is the bodybuilding gym, and my group of girls just keep expanding, and I'm show them how to sumo deadlift and all that stuff, and yeah, they love it. And I will do a workout and like, why would I ever do 20 minutes of Stairmaster again? Like,
damn right.
I'm like, yeah. And as much as Dave does that for guys, I think that's what Feroce is, but for girls. Yeah. It's because girls like to do cardio and we like to feel fit. And I don't think girls' goal is just to grow muscle. I think like our program are like pretty much the complete opposite, where like, but very similar, where I focus more on like feel good, like in the like cardio and like just feeling energized. And then we do like uh, bodybuilding and rehab for finisher. And Dave, the bulk of his program is the bodybuilding finisher part. And then he'll do accessory cardio to like help with body composition. So
yeah, I think like unfortunately, and I don't know if you guys recognize this or have experienced it, but we tend to get like peer pressured into other people's goals and other people's methods. And I definitely felt that, you know, in that CrossFit space, and somebody would see me doing like bicep curls and they would be like, why did you do bicep curls? There's no reason to ever do bicep curls. I'm like, well, there's a context there, right? Like there's a place for it. I mean, you're never going to cure metabolic disease with bicep curls, let's be honest, but there is a place with it. And what I really love about our program, just my personal experience, is it made me feel successful again.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I could win in the gym, and I could see that based on the way I was wearing my work on my body, based on how I've progressed through competitive bodybuilding and still been able to do CrossFit. And I think a lot of our athletes feel the relief of that pressure, where it's like, why should I feel bad about myself that I can't squat snatch 300 pounds? Like, that's not even really my goal. I just want to look like a badass and be able to do stuff and not be hurt. You know?
Yeah. I do think that sometimes we do this in CrossFit, but I think it can be said for any fitness program. We do lose sight of our individualized goals. And it takes really good gym owners and really good coaches and really good, you know, head coaches, head programmers, head nutrition folks, like to make people feel comfortable enough to say like, hey, I don't want to squat this much. I want to squat this much because this is in line with my goal. And that also goes up against people who are like, I don't want to squat this much because I don't want to be bulky. And like, that's also wrong. So we need to like educate, but also foster people's individual goals in a way that, like you said, sets them up for success, because otherwise you're going to lose them. You're going to lose member retention. You're going to lose, you know, the folks who are just trying to get stuff done.
You know, one of the biggest problem that everyone ended up having at a point, and me and Dave, that's something that we've, I guess, talked more and more about in the past 5 years. When I pretty much my whole CrossFit career, I was also studying chemical engineering. It was very good for me to always have this complete opposite community. You know, you go from like meathead just trying to be fit to like the nerdiest nerd on the other side. And, you know, both worlds just didn't know anything about each other. So I would be at school and like literally, I remember my teammate would be like, you're so disrespectful. Like you always have like chalk on your hand or this and that. Because I would always be either training or studying. Like there was no in between, but it was good for me to have different perspectives. So I had the perspective from my colleague student, and then I had perspective from people in CrossFit. And I think where it gets very, very dangerous for people is when they only surround themselves with one person.
Well, one type of person, you know, a singular set of ideas that don't really challenge each other.
So if you only do CrossFit and are only surrounded by, you know, CrossFit people, how are you nourishing your brain to new idea and different perspective? And I think that's, and I'm using CrossFit because that's where we come from, obviously. But like that goes in everything, like powerlifting, doing Les Mill, doing Weight Watchers, like doing anything fitness related. How do you grow your mindset and you expand your knowledge if all the people around you are telling you that this is the only way, and by doing a heavy squat in your class, by not going to failure, you're failing that community you're with. And that's the peer pressure that starts to build up. And I think that can be very poisonous, and it has to be different perspective coming into your life. You don't have to weigh and measure everything you eat if you don't want to.
Right.
You don't have to. It's not because you're part of that community that you have to do that. Like, yes, you should learn about food quality because that everyone should do, but you don't have to be extreme in everything. Like you have to find this good balance that works for you. And it looks different for everyone. And I really believe that that's how people can be the best them and not have a new shame and guilt type of relationship with whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Camille, like, you know, being at her school, it really kind of, in some ways, for lack of a better word, like kept her in her place. You know, she won the games 14 on a Sunday, and she flew back home on a Tuesday to go to her finals, and nobody cared. Like, she's like, I won the games. What's that?
Yeah,
I took a red eye to go do my finals, and funny enough, the worst nightmare of every student happened to me. I had this class on Tuesday was morning, and on Thursday was at night, and somehow I thought we were Thursday, so I thought my test was at night, but it was in the morning.
No way.
And I literally walked in my class that was doing my test. I was like, I'll go study in the morning. So I walked in my class that was doing the test, because it was a computer room, and I just go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you guys are doing a test. And I walked back, and all the students were like, what is Cam doing? And my teacher was running after me to try to find me. And then I started to study, and I just remember I got all red, and I was like, oh no, the test.
Like, that's my class.
Yeah.
So I showed up to my test 40 minutes late, and it was a 2-hour test. I'm mentally so messed up from the CrossFit game. I'm an idiot at that point.
Oh my God.
Thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Well, did she let you take the test?
Yeah, it was like, well, you have an hour 20 left. Good luck.
Oh shit.
And luckily, so this is what you do when you try to be a professional athlete and a student. This would be my trick to everyone at home. Get really, really good grade at the beginning of the semester.
Got it.
Get all your point at the beginning, because, who knows what's going to happen at the end. So luckily, I think I needed 2% to pass that class.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Writing my name, I would most likely have passed it, but thank God I did that, and not
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, it's good to put yourself in those situations. When we started, exploring and studying bodybuilding from the people who were, pros, it's like, oh, well, we're pretty well known in CrossFit, and we're pretty good at what we do. But in that gym, it's kind of like, well, you ain't shit here.
Yeah.
And it was great because, we made the best friends by people getting outside the community. We made best friends they don't care. They don't care what you do, this and that. They're just regular people who love to bodybuild.
I love it.
They don't obsess over it so much. They're get to talk about stuff other than training sometimes. It's really lovely.
Yes, it's nice.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of her best friends I do have a lot of good girl friend, and most of them are all games athletes, because we can relate with so many things. But outside that, all our best friends literally don't know anything about CrossFit. And I love it.
Yeah, I think we talk about that enough every day, that it's nice to have a break and just be two, married people and having fun. Well, these guys want to go out and drink and party. I'm like, we never do that. Let's do that.
Let's do it. Come on. Oh, you guys don't do that? Oh, welcome to the world of the average athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
We do that. Join us.
We don't drink though.
Yeah, we don't drink alcohol, but it's just fun to party, and
we don't need anything to be fun. So
yeah, I vibrate on a pretty high level, so I can relate.
Yep. Yeah. And for anyone out there, I would encourage you to go and explore this stuff. One of my favorite things about now having a better understanding of hypertrophy training and building the body is that it expands your scope of intensity, and I think, from where I was in CrossFit, I really believe there was one way to get intensity and results: go faster, go heavier, which is one way to do it, but it's also a way to get hurt, and it's only one method that can often lead to plateaus. And the great thing about hypertrophy is it doesn't really matter about the weight on the bar. It's just about getting your muscles to a specific state or creating a stimulus that they're unfamiliar with to allow them to adapt. And no one cares if it's not the full range of motion or if it's a lightweight, there's no fucking pressure there. But I think people don't explore those things as much. They don't explore things like tempos and eccentrics and isometrics and different types of variability and all these different things that you can use beyond just putting more weight on the bar that are extremely effective for muscle growth. And it's also nice to feel even if you didn't lift the most weight, it doesn't matter. You're just there to get the training effect.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's exactly the kind of thing that a lot of people need right now when we're stuck at home, when we can't get to the gym, when we have limited, workout supplies, and we're all just, let's be honest, we're all just trying to look good naked.
I think when you, when you definitely keep yourself in those senses, you forget how much we do have around us. And I've been doing those live workouts every morning at 10 a.m. and I'm like, today, our weight is going to be the laundry detergent.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're using water, and I'm just trying to find things in my, in our house right now to show people that, like, you don't need a gym to go train. And it also, you can do a lot more than just running and burpees if you're at home. Like,
Yeah.
when you go to the grocery store, you're doing far more scary. And like, so grab literally 2 plastic bag and fill it up with soup can and, get going. There's just so much you can do. And when you keep your mind open, it's a lot more easy to be creative and just find solution. And I think for me and Dave, that's really what we love the most, like meeting new people. That we love being beginners. Like, we love finding, like, with Dave doing bodybuilding, like, he started doing it, and next thing you know, I would go with him to all his sessions because I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
I would just sit next to him, say nothing, and I'm just this little sponge, and I'm like, talk more about the nutrition. Okay, so you're rotating, with your calorie deficit, and like, okay, why would you do that? Okay, so this way, like, you're adapting, and then you're still in a deficit. Like, we both love being beginners, finding people that know more than us, and we're like 2 sponge, and we're like driving back home, and we're like, oh my God, this was amazing. Now we just need to go research to make sure whatever they said was true.
Yeah. Back it up with science now.
Yeah, and it's very exciting to learn about things. And then I'll try it when my nutrition clients, I'm like, all right, I can now about tell when my clients are about to hit plateau. I'm like, all right, we're about to hit the plateau. So I learned this thing. All right, let's try this with you. Like, they're kind of my guinea pigs sometimes, but it's just fun to keep like evolving and learning and hopefully giving a better product back, because the goal is just to help. But I love learning. I really do.
Yeah, I think it really expands your skill set. And if you're a coach out there, it's invaluable, right? Because the more of these tools you have in your toolkit, the better you're able to address people, the more you can individually figure out a way to make them successful. Even with like some of our weight loss challenges like Thunder Cuts or 30-day shred, a year or 2 years ago, I may have attacked this completely differently. I might have put these athletes on a paleo diet with a zone prescription, and they might have lost a couple pounds. But just now getting exposure to be like, preparing for a show, this is what it takes to cut. Now the effects are so much more dramatic because you've seen it at its most extreme, right? So you're like, okay, I understand what the pros are doing. How do I adapt this to somebody who doesn't have ambitions to be a pro and be 3% body fat, but wants to lose, is a good amount of weight in 8 to 12 weeks? And now I'm like, it's amazing to me how that information is not widely known in a field where a majority of clients are weight loss clients.
Yes.
Dave, is it all just chicken and broccoli all the time?
Well,
all the time.
Just be honest.
Adjustment I think CrossFitters make, are not making with their diets is, in general, there's a fear of carbohydrates, right?
Yep.
So they really undercarb, and they over caffeinate.
What? What are you talking about?
They overtrain greatly. We talk about the different types of responses and receptors in the body, and the difference between anabolic signals that are muscle growing signals and catabolic signals. They're, mobilizing signals. So generally a lot of them are probably overworked, overtrained, and low on calories, and especially high on fat. Yes. Which, it kind of puts you in this state where it depends what your goal is, right? But when you're high on fat, that's going to slow your digestion down. And if you're trying to metabolize fat and you're trying to speed up your metabolism, you want a digestive tract that is working with, frequent meals throughout the day and low fat meals that are going to rev up the engine. Protein intake, like the protein intake on the bodybuilding diet, especially through a cut, is through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Now, understand, like, this is not sustainable. Like, it's for
right. It's for a period of time.
Effective, and there are all these additional things that you can do to do it in a safe way, like your water intake. I was like, wow, I'm way low on water intake. This guy wants me drinking 1 gallon to 2 gallons of water a day.
Damn.
your kidney and your liver function. Like this is so important for processing protein and keeping your numbers high. A lot of CrossFitters, when they get tested, you get blood work done at like, let's say, what's the test that we just did? Inside Tracker. Almost all of them end up with these like high CK levels, which is telling you, all right, there's you know, you train a lot. There's a lot of you know, creatinine in the blood. And that puts a lot of stress on the kidneys. So drinking the water, taking kidney support supplements becomes very important. And this is widely unfamiliar because I think people just don't understand. And then they're wondering, why am I plateauing? Why is my sleep bad? Why are my numbers not progressing? So, you know, it just, my point is, it just adds to your skill set.
Yes. I think like, you know, Dave is saying like all the things that he knows, but I think something that we both found extremely valuable in all of that, and super important for us as like coaches and trying to be, I don't know if we are fitness experts or not. Like, I don't know if we can.
I don't like that word at all.
I don't like
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. I'm just trying to like give like, because people say that about themselves, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're experienced in the world.
But
I think we're presenters of information.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we take it all with a grain of salt. I don't think there really are any experts out there. They're just people that accumulate information, and the experience you get from that information is actual knowledge.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that's my next point, is I think something that's always been very important to me and Dave is that you can have like, you know, all the research and read all the book, but that's really just one part of the equation. But what matters as much, if not more, is applying and seeing results. So something that we've always done as we learn with people is we like immerse ourselves, not just in a way that we're trying to learn, but we immerse ourselves with, we're doing it 100%. So I know we've both done like a bunch of different type of diets because we have to learn how it's going to make us feel, how it's going to affect our body, how it's going to really change things in us. So now we just don't have the knowledge, but you also applied it, and then you can really like pair those two sides of the spectrum, which I think it's very, very important. You can't have someone who don't have the knowledge and just, you know, throw it out there. You can't have the opposite, like never applied it and just have, you know, the book. And I think that stuff is very important, right?
Yeah.
Totally is.
And that's why I went all in the bodybuilding, because, you know, and for me, I didn't go all in because my hormones were already messed up and
totally
and trying to get pregnant, because he wanted me to do a show with him, and I was like, we already don't know if I'll be able to get pregnant just because how bad I was from competing for 10 years. So let's not make it worse by
that's a good point.
From food to get super skinny.
Without getting too emotional, you know, after 10 years of competing, I think this was in 2018, 2019. It was either her last year or second to last year. Cam got home. We always we love talking to doctors, especially doctors that are human and health performance doctors, people that, you know, kind of bridge that gap between Eastern and Western medicine, doctors that are at the cutting edge of technology with things like peptide therapies and supplements. And there are lots of great doctors like these where we live. And one of them that we had been working with is this Dr. Yurs from the Boulder Longevity Institute.
Awesome.
I met her after my back surgery, and she's like, "What are you doing to heal from your back surgery?" And I'm like, lying down. And she's like, "Oh, you should try these peptide therapies. They'll help the collagen heal the right way," and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, this stuff is amazing. This is the future. And, you know, I researched, wow, they're treating cancer with these peptide therapies. They you know, it's really the secretagogues and the way that they're able to manipulate receptors is very impressive. And not too many people know about that because it's fringe stuff, but that's neither here nor there. We go to her regularly, we get blood work regularly, and really look at things that most people don't look at because it's preventative medicine, and it's not about not being sick. It's about optimizing health and performance.
Right.
So, you know, we're looking for things that are subclinical issues, not being out of range, but, you know, being able to get that to the ideal range with all your blood work and amino acids, you know, saturations, vitamins and minerals, all that stuff. So we come back after the games, and
that was 2018.
She gets Cam gets her blood work done.
Wait, I got my blood work done because Dave has been doing that for a long time before me, because we kind of knew something was wrong with him, and he's not he can do whatever he wants. I'm competing, so I cannot do whatever I want. I just get the vitamins and vitamin B.
Oh, right. You can't take a ton of supplements
Yeah,
no matter
peptides
what. Yeah.
not allowed in whatever
Yep.
competitiveness you're
Right.
doing. So after the 2018 CrossFit game, I started to lose my memory a lot.
Whoa.
I would, sit down on the couch and 45 minutes would go by and I didn't knew. Like, I wouldn't even know, or we would go to the grocery and I would get home without the grocery. And I would just have like lapse of time that would go by, um, and I would cry and I would, they would be, where is this? I would cry. I would be like, don't make me feel bad about this. Like, I don't know what's going on. And that got really, really scary for me. So that's when 2018, I went to do blood work, and it came back as I was 70.
Well, they sent it back and they said, hey, I think you got this wrong. The lab sent it back. She goes, this isn't the blood work of a 29-year-old. This is the blood work of a postmenopausal woman.
No way.
And so they read it back like, well, why? Like, it's all fucked up. It doesn't make any sense. And so the doctor looked at it and she was very honest with Camille, and she's like, you better stop right now, because I don't know if you're going to be able to get pregnant.
Shit.
And at that point, I think that was the straw for Camille, where she was like, I'm done with this competitive stuff.
Yeah. So if you look,
what was causing this weird memory loss?
So
I was just everything. People say they are killing themselves or something. I was killing myself.
Yeah.
Just literally killing myself, because my will is so high. I have such a discipline of work, and all just like shut down. 10 years of working on your mindset also gives you a lot of tools to push through a lot of pain.
Yeah, the body remembers, and it's kind of those things we mentioned. You're like, okay, underfueled, undercarbed, overcaffeinated, overtrained, and do that for 10 years.
Pressure and stress and lack of sleep and lack of, it's a lot to wake up every day and give 100%. And so yeah, we got those blood tests back, and
this is just cardiometabolic hormone panel stuff. Like, this is not even the type of orthopedic joint deterioration we were seeing, with like the degenerative things accelerating, and now the cognitive things happening, where there's a loss of mental acuity and a short-term memory loss, and just like the overstress. Her dopamine was zero. She had no dopamine.
Damn.
So the first thing the doctor told her was like, you better ease up off the gas.
Yeah.
Take a break right now. So you tried to give her some stuff, and we live in Colorado, so she gave her like a marijuana prescription to try to like bring dopamine.
That is the day I started to do THC, and I loved it.
There you go.
It's funny, like I think that's again like expanding your view of this stuff. Some of these things have stigmas.
It was great. It shut down my brain at night, and I started to be able to sleep. And
Yeah.
I got better recovery. But I mean, the big thing that happened from all of that is if you look at my open last year, I didn't do the last workout because I decided I wasn't going to the game, and I didn't want it to do. And the last workout was really good for me. I'm pretty sure I could have maybe win it worldwide, because that's my jam. And I think I did one thruster at the gym. It was like thruster and pull up. And I look at Dave and I go, nope, I'm done.
I'm all set.
And everyone was there like waiting to cheer me on. They're like, oh, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. I want a family. This is my biggest number one priority. Competing is nice, but having a family is the most important thing. I've always wanted to be a mom. And so then the rest of the year, like I like barely train. And then Alec was like, want to be on the team? I was like, I don't know. I've competed. I've not trained at all.
For 2 weeks. Oh, so she competed at the games for 10 years. She got on the podium once in those 10 years. She then trained for 2 weeks and got on the podium that year, right?
I mean,
so you're like, okay,
what was I doing for all the other years?
Looking at the risk reward, the cost benefit there, and I'm like, why don't you just do that if you want?
Just do this. Yeah.
It is. I know that a lot of people in her situation, like her counterparts, like there's a pressure to stay relevant, and there are other ways to do it.
Yeah.
And, so like I think that's we start taking those proactive steps to be like, all right, with like the competition thing, it's like it's a short play, it's a short game play, and it's a grab at attention right now. why don't we figure out a way to leverage what she's built to have something enduring and intrinsically valuable to people when the competition is done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
and the competition is also very like it's just
singular.
Yeah, and I think like once I turned 25 in my life, I was like, I want to help people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've just always wanted to help people. I want to have a family. I love being around a lot of people. Like I cry when my clients get good results. I'm like, this feels better than winning the game. Like
Yeah.
my clients are like, my life has changed. Like I regained, charge of what I do. I have
That's
confidence.
cool.
I'm like bawling because I'm like, this is what I want for people. I just want people to love themselves, be comfortable in their skin, be kinder to each other.
Yeah.
And I think from like really 25 to 30, that like void in my heart just like kept growing as I would keep competing, because it was like the more I'm competing and evolving myself as a person, the more I'm like craving things not being about me and just being able to take, a seat in the back and help people like try to achieve, their full potential through hopefully like the experience I got, just, share what we have with everyone else. And I'm so much more fulfilled now, even though like there's no one comes to my house and tap me in the back. It's like I just grind all day and I cry and I just try to do my best with what I have. And then once in a while I get someone that is like, 5 months later, you don't hear anything in 5 months, like, I've been doing your stuff for 5 months and I lost 40 pounds and I look amazing. And you're like, could you not tell me every day that this was working?
Thanks.
Like you like don't get the feedback until so long, or like I'm doing those live workouts every day and no one's giving me the feedback if it's good or bad. You're just killing yourself, and then the one day that you don't do it, like people are like, what the heck, where were you? And you're like, well,
You were watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so funny. It's funny to think about, like, we've had you guys scheduled to come on the podcast for a little bit now, because obviously we wanted to talk to you about what you have going on in your own businesses and about, your experience. It was even before we found out that you were having a baby. So we've had you on the books. It now just feels like such a relevant time to be talking about. It was before the world went to shit, basically.
Right now, like this is a good time for podcasts. And I think
yeah.
all the things we're talking about, like they really do have a common theme for us. Like we try to look at things based on like really what they are, not how we feel about them, and that goes everything from training to what we were talking about with supplements, even the example, like the marijuana, like, we look at it based on like, well, what is it really? What is it doing versus the stigma we've been taught to believe about it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, if the goal is health and longevity, there are lots of things out there that people are denying themselves because of how they've been taught to think or feel about it, not based on what they really are. So I would encourage people to go out and explore that stuff. Try it yourself. Like get outside of your ecosphere and look on the other side of the fence and listen without an opinion.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff out there. And one of the things I just wanted to mention here, because I know we're talking about all the people training at home, is, for those people that are at home, there are so many things that you can do right now to optimize your situation and to turn what can be a challenge into hopefully like a benefit. And one of the things that I've been hearing and practicing as much as we can is building some psychological capital of good things, not just the bad news, but some of the good things you can take out of it, and you can do that so many different ways, obviously like getting on podcasts, surrounding yourself with some positivity, journaling, gratitude, like invest yourself in your health, go take your walks, just forget this shit for a little bit, and for all the negativity that you hear and are immersing yourself in, make sure there's a counterbalance of positivity as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's a
down the news for a couple hours and push-up challenge.
Yep.
Totally.
Well, it's so needed. I mean, there's so much negative news. I would like to say, based on you telling everyone to explore and try things, I have 2 teenage daughters. If you girls are listening to this, you can't go try weed.
Not yet.
Not yet. You got a few years.
And if you actually studied objectively, you would know that the human brain doesn't fully develop until 26 because doctors won't recommend you start exploring with marijuana until after 26. So, that's, again, it's not because I want to do it. It's not because I've been told not to do it. It's because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Trust me, you meet my daughters, you'll know that their brains are not fully formed. You'll absolutely know it.
I'm not sure.
Listen to this, right?
But that's like, I think, with all that stuff that you hear, make your own freaking research. And that, I mean, part of why I think I started doing my own nutrition stuff is like, no one knows about the basic, and everyone is trying to major in like the micro component of like dieting, and just, you have to know the basic. And it's so, I think our world is so filled with information, and it's so hard to get through that spider web to find like the big bulk of the thing that doesn't change. And instead of, trying to do that, which I understand because information is really hard to find, but I think people like see this one thing that sounds promising, don't do their research and just believe the article they're reading. And we like really build like things that can hurt people this way. Like, same thing, me and Dave, I don't take any THC right now for obvious reason, but for us, it really helped us. But it's not because it helped me that you can just like take that information, go home and decide that because Camille said that it helped her, it's going to be good for you. Because maybe you want to read all that information behind and really know about it. And then you can have a clear idea on how this could help you. And guess what? Maybe in 2 weeks, another research come out and, well, it wasn't that good after all.
Yeah,
so
there's so much stuff out there. I mean,
follow.
even just using that as an example, like, you can easily overdo it with that stuff. Have adverse effects, like the wrong, I mean, you need to monitor your blood work. Too much THC can lower your testosterone and raise your estrogen. Like you just need to know the information and have the objectivity of it. And like, gosh, even right now, like, I don't know how much you guys have heard about like all these people majoring in the minors talking about the different herbs you should be taking to boost your immune system. Like, that's kind of the cart before the horse, to be honest with you.
That's the thing
Why don't you nail the basics? Why don't you reduce your stress, reduce your negativity, go sleep more, right? Get exercise. Don't exercise too much. Like, exercising too much can like lower your immune system.
Totally.
And then like, just like eat a good clean diet full of micronutrients and those are the basics, right? The foundations, not the ancillary details before we nail the foundation down.
Right.
I think people are getting conditioned to, they're looking for that magic bullet. Like I have people message me all the time. And they're like, what's the one tip you could give me as a new CrossFitter? I'm like, get sleep. Like before all else, like go to bed early. Like
that's the basic.
I struggle with it every day. When people adjust to our program, a lot of them are like, 3 days a week. What about more training? And I'm like, well, no, because like more is not better. Better is based on results, based on growth, based on you adapt. Like if I give you more training, it could, likely slow down your progress, and tissues need to heal, remodel, and grow back thicker. And, this is just an adjustment in understanding the difference again between like what I want to do and what I should do, or opinions and feelings versus facts and results.
Yes. That's the most frustrating part sometimes when you do what we do is, one of our clients will come to us telling us that our methodology doesn't work, but meanwhile they didn't do the methodology.
Right.
They put their own spin on it, and it's like, well, we did a heavy squat this morning and then you did Murph at night, which wasn't programmed, and then you wonder why you're not gaining strength. And it's like, because you didn't do my program. You did when completely off the rail, or they do, your nutrition, but at night they have, snack left and right and this and that. And you're like, but, I'm putting you in a calorie deficit because we want to lose weight. If you now cheat on the side and put yourself in a calorie surplus, well, you are gaining weight. So, I think that's a big thing with people too. I think that's why they want the like easy pill, but the easy doesn't work. I'm sorry. Like, and the work is such, you just have to learn that work is rewarding. Like, I think everyone, when go back to when you were a kid and you would do like a birdhouse project for your school, and you loved it so much. Like I did that when I was a kid. I did the birdhouse made of coconut, and in my head, I'll never find a better birdhouse than that one because
I have never done a
on it.
birdhouse made of coconuts. Have you guys done that?
No, I don't know. You
I
do
was
that.
very creative.
That's awesome.
I was very creative. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I think like people need to understand that when you work really hard on something, even though it's not perfect and it's a little crooked and you put your heart in it, it's like all of that makes that thing just so much more beautiful than if you just wake up and have it and then really don't treat it well. Because if you just wake up and have it, it's just a thing. Like you didn't build it with your hand. There's not like blood and sweat. And it's like once you understand the beauty behind the hard work, I obviously like to work hard and I really embrace that to a point that it's unhealthy for me. So I need to learn to balance my life better that way. But it's very rewarding to like work on your body and see the result, work on your diet and feel more present, be more positive, be, hopefully better for your husband and your friend because of all these other things you're doing.
And it doesn't have to be like overnight. Like, there's no rush.
Step.
In fact, anything that is just slower and methodical is usually more compelling and better maintained. You see that with like weight loss, right?
Yeah.
Bunch of weight really quick and then it bounces right up. Like there has to
totally
be a point of just accumulation of good, consistent habits. And I've heard people say this a lot, is like just trying to do most things mostly well most of the time. That's really the ticket. It's the slow game and the long game versus the short grab. And like, I mean, I always
yourself.
give people an analogy about like if you were teaching somebody how to shoot a gun, you wouldn't start by teaching them how to slide on their knees and shoot sideways, through like in the movie. Like you teach them like, here's how you hold the gun. Here's how you point the gun. Here's how you safely load and unload the gun. But you wouldn't start with like the super advanced stuff. And that goes with training and nutrition and supplements, all that stuff too. It's like, we're not there yet. Most people are not there yet.
Yeah.
Time and consistency and foundations.
Oh, I really want to shoot guns with you now.
I know.
I really do.
Look at Keanu Reeves. You ever seen those John Wick movies? He is like, because like I've been sitting next to people who are good firearms experts who are like, yeah, it's pretty fucking good.
Hey.
But God knows he's had to, really put the time in to be able to.
Well, we are actually right up against the end of our time, but I'm gonna give a little commercial for your programs real quick. So I got a chance to watch you guys at Wadapalooza, and cool. I'm in the crowd with all the other CrossFitters, and I'm like, I get amused at these things because I sit around and look at all the confused faces. They're like, oh, this isn't CrossFit. Like, what are they doing? You guys are like doing skull crushers or something,
And meanwhile, everyone's like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I couldn't stay too long because I wanted to get sun, and Dave is so big, he was blocking the sun. So I couldn't get any sun. And but I'm watching these people work out, and it looks so hard. Like, and the movements were so easy.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, going, this is brilliant. Like, really, really brilliant science of figuring out that you don't have to put 6 45-pound plates on the end of the bar and lift the craziest weight ever to look great and to be big.
And to feel good.
Yep. Yeah. The right way is the one that works, and that's also different for different people, so I think, you have to understand that as a coach or as an athlete, just because one person has success or just because you have success one time doing something doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way again. It's not an A + B = C scenario. And in fact, training is not really much of a science at all. It's really more of an art of you observing and adjusting. Because there are just too many variables in the equation to be able to definitively predict the answer.
Yeah, anyone who tells you that they have a specific recipe to make everyone look a certain way, I would run away from them.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not true. And even looking at me and Dave, our style keeps evolving.
Yeah.
Just keep evolving nonstop. And what Dave does might work for a lot of people, might not work for some, and what I do might work for a lot of people and not work for some. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
You see that in our programs too. We're like, like we have a program called Muscle Anarchy, and that's probably our most popular one, like all the cool bodybuilding methods and stuff. And it started with like just the bodybuilding, and then it was like, okay, bodybuilding plus some conditioning, and now we're adding prehab into it, and now it's bodybuilding, conditioning, and optional steady state cardio, and now there's optional yoga work, and it's like we're just kind of making it more robust to try to cast the widest net, because depending on who you are and what your goals are, the program has to look a little different.
Yeah.
So the versatility of the program is important. While the message and the core principles may be the same, you can't just have this cookie cutter thing. There has to be ability to adjust.
Well, I love what you guys are doing. I think, not only the programs you put together, science driven and smart, and I think they fit in great with our community, but I think what you guys are, Nikki said it best, like it's so timely with everything that's going on in our community right now. And I just really appreciate the contribution you guys are putting in. But I can't say it enough. So thank you for what you're doing.
We feel lucky to have people that are willing to listen and try. That's our biggest passion. Our bottom line is just putting good new information out there to an expanding audience, and helping people along the same journey that we've been through.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we appreciate you being on. Nikki, stay safe in the quarantine.
Yeah, likewise.
We'll work on that top bun you got going on tonight. Looks great. I love it.
Thanks.
And David, Camille.
Podcast. Do we go to download it at Make Pods Great Again?
Yes, we're on all the channels.
We're on all the things.
On all the things.
Good.
Yeah, and we've had all your buddies on here. Jason was on here not that long ago.
Yeah, he was great.
Nice. Well, yeah. we'll link it in our Instagrams and stuff, and try to get it out there. And yeah, that was a really fun combo. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for being on. Really appreciate, again, like all of your intellect and all of your experience and all of this, but also like just your overwhelming positivity is what we need right now. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, for everyone listening, we appreciate you being on, and we will talk to you guys soon. And that's it. We're good.